creepiest tradition from your boarding school. On the night before graduating from my all-girls boarding school, I found out the true meaning of my school's horrific secret tradition, the final examination, and I barely got out unscathed. My parents worshipped the headmaster and his elite all-girls prep school that had been shaping young minds for over a century. When I was 13, he visited our home and ran his fingers through my hair while discussing my academic potential. She has the perfect intellect for our advanced program, he told my parents with a smile that made my skin crawl. She'll make an excellent candidate for final examination when she's matured. My mother beamed with pride. She went to the school and went through the same preparation herself decades ago. She'd never told me what actually happened, just that it was the highest honor a student could receive. A month before graduation, the headmaster called me to his office to explain my upcoming final examination. Next month, all 12 male faculty members will spend the night preparing your mind and body for the rigors of university life, he said, licking his lips. I stared in horror as he described how each professor would evaluate me privately before the group examination, where they would celebrate me together. This wasn't an academic honor at all. It was a gang assault with fancy language. You should feel honored, he said, leaning too close. We've been preparing you for this since the first day you enrolled. After that, my calculus professor started brushing against me during lessons and whispering about how he'd been waiting 3 years for my examination. The chemistry teacher emailed me about the experiments he planned to conduct on my body. Only our new literature teacher seemed unaware of the tradition, still treating me like an actual student instead of meat being prepared for consumption. I started throwing up before classes and couldn't sleep, haunted by stories of previous graduates who'd returned to visit looking hollow and broken. When I called home, my mother just laughed a little and said, "The first hour is difficult, but it's worth it to have references from these men. Don't you want to go to Harvard?" 3 days before graduation, I overheard the faculty in the teacher's lounge discussing their plans. "This one's particularly spirited," the headmaster was saying. "She may try to put up a fight." The calculus professor laughed and said he'd already prepared his evaluation tools, and I knew I had to run. That night, I climbed out my dorm window and made it to the train station. I rode 3 hours to the nearest city and checked into a hostel. For 2 incredible days, I felt human again. I could walk down streets without teachers leering at me, eat meals without thinking about examinations, and sleep without nightmares about graduation night. I even started looking at apartments and job listings, imagining a life where I was more than just a body to be evaluated. But on the 3rd morning, I woke up to find the headmaster standing over my hostel bed with my parents and school security guards. "Time to come home," he said coldly. "Your examination is tomorrow." They dragged me back to school and locked me in the library's rare book room. The headmaster was furious that I'd tried to escape their tradition and announced my punishment. Instead of a private examination, mine would be conducted publicly in the main hall. "Every student needs to see what happens to girls who run," he said. The faculty visited throughout the day, each describing their plans in graphic detail, now that privacy wasn't a concern. The calculus professor brought his tools and laid them out on the table, explaining their purpose while I sat frozen in terror. My mother came to see me that evening, crying about how I'd humiliated our family. "Now everyone will watch," she sobbed. "At least my examination was private." I was locked in my room until graduation night with no opportunities to escape. On graduation night, they dressed me in white and led me to the main hall where the entire student body had assembled. The 12 faculty members sat at a long table in academic robes, and my parents sat in the front row as the headmaster began his speech about tradition. Just as the calculus professor grabbed my wrist to begin, the literature teacher stood up from the faculty table. "Stop this now," he commanded. "I just found out tonight what final examination really is, and I've already called the police." He'd thought it was an actual academic ceremony until he saw them preparing the examination table. The headmaster ordered him to sit down or be fired, but sirens were already wailing outside. The teacher moved to shield me as faculty tried to flee. Police burst through the doors and found 12 girls locked in rooms awaiting examination. The school was shut down and 30 faculty members arrested.